Hello, everybody. Greetings, friends, everyone out there. I have a special guest, as promised, today. My aunt, Teresa Stepanoff. She is the author of this book, Autobiography of a Medium, and I called her in to interview her. The book is amazing. It's a great read. It's very funny. I highly, highly, highly recommend this.
Not just because I'm your aunt.
Right, exactly. It's an awesome book. And I have my awesome, wonderful aunt here um for the interview. So let's start. So for the first question, um, do you want to talk a little bit about yourself, maybe about your background, your education? We could start there.
Okay, so besides the fact that, my name is Teresa Stepanoff, and mostly right now I'm practicing acupuncture and doing a thing called quantum magnetic resonance, which analyzes the entire body. It gives you like 100-page report of all the details of, your deficiencies, the function of your cardio system, digestive system, lungs, liver, etc., hormones, everything. It even has a section at the very end about consciousness. So if you're happy, you're sad, if you're brave, or if you're indifferent, it shows up on the report. It's kind of amazing and it's pretty accurate. I've even done it to doctors, and they've compared it to regular analysis, and it's pretty accurate. It comes out the same as blood work. So, and I have the center now in Denellen, Florida, where I spend most of the time, and we do retreats. So, like for mostly for weekends, different themes. The last retreat we did was last weekend, and it was all about intuition. About, like the classes were all geared towards enhancing intuition and explaining to people how to protect themselves and also how to grow their own abilities. Everyone has it. It's like muscles. They don't use them, so they don't, they lose them. You don't use it, you lose it. But if you use it and if you learn how to do it the right way, then it enhances. So that was like the last thing I did. And also, I've been doing a lot of health fairs, like presentations at health fairs. And I think I'm going to start doing some presentations and some promotional activities with like chain stores, health food stores like Earth Fare, Sprouts, those type of people. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. And besides that, teaching people how to do energy, teaching people how to do qigong. So I'm not just, and I also do hypnosis. So I like to empower people to learn how to do it for themselves. So it's not for them to depend on me, but it's for them to depend on themselves and learn what their own abilities are and how to take it so that they can make transformative life changes.
Gotcha. And so the place that you have in the Inner Transformation Center that you have in Dunellen. So is this kind of what kind of place is it? Is it a place where is it a resort? Is it like what is it kind of classified as?
Okay, so it's kind of, I call it glamping because we have actually like 20 room for 21 people, and they stay here on the property. We have these little like cabins, like houses, and we have like a community kitchen, community bathrooms. We have a cottage, which is a separate, has everything, separate. And then we have additions to other buildings. So it's a 6-acre property. It's a lot of land and a lot of maintenance. And you book the stay. Sometimes we also do Airbnb. So sometimes it's just Airbnb that don't want to do anything. And then there's other people, we do fire ceremonies, um, and like I said, classes, and we did sound bath and different modalities. It's not just one thing, it's different. We have massage beds and infrared sauna bed and light therapy, chromotherapy. So we do different things, lymphatic drainage. So people book the stay and then we kind of custom package it to be whatever the person needs, whatever they do more of. And the place is unique because it has energy portals. So it has 4 different locations on the property where you can access earth energy. And it's pretty intense, it's pretty high. I've had really some interesting experiences. It's very healing for people, and they come out of it feeling different, and sometimes some of them come out of it completely transformed. And we have a tachyon crystal chamber that we built in the middle of all the energy portals. So it's also amplified by crystals and copper. So the energy is already there, and we kind of amped it up.
Gotcha. And like, how did you, like, what inspired you to create that tachyon crystal? It's like a dome,
Chamber?
correct? Yeah, the
Yeah, it's a
chamber.
dome. And inside the dome is the chamber where there's like these cylindrical objects that have copper inside of it. And on the top, they're tachyon crystals, but they're huge. So we have them above, like we have a chair, and above the chair and below the chair and on the sides are all these crystals. Like I said, so the energy gets amped up. We were looking for, initially when we bought the property, first I was looking for a place where there was a vortex of energy. And the springs, I'm assuming it's because of the springs and the water runs underneath that it amplifies, because water also amplifies energy. So I'm assuming that that's why. And we're right next to Rainbow Springs. And I've taken pictures and you literally see a rainbow like an eye, like above and below, which is interesting. I haven't seen that in other places. But back to what inspired us to do this was I was looking for different, I wanted to build something, and I had it in mind, something similar to what we built, but I didn't know exactly what. So I was testing different things, and different types of modalities and different types of equipment that produce the energy that I wanted to bring to the property, and nothing quite fit. But one day, and my friend said, "Oh, I have a friend that went to this chamber in Argentina, and I wanted to check it out and see if that's what we're looking for. It sounds like it's similar to what we were looking to put on the property to build." So she said, "I'm going to go and I'm going to try it out." And then when she came back, she was like, "Oh, this was great." But I never paid attention to her until one day we also sell the crystals, like individual crystals, so people can take them home, and it has a healing effect. It continues to have a healing effect on them. So I decided to grab one of them and I put it in my hand, and I felt the energy surge, and I was like, "Whoa, what is this?" And she's like, "That's the tachyon." And I actually realized that it's uh, close to my energy signature and when I work with energy. So I was like, "Oh, this is really good." And that's when I said, "Okay, let's go for it." And pretty much the chamber is something that I had already visualized, and I already had that in mind. But this was like the complete structure. It was like you kind of know what you want, but not certain. And then when the guy who came up with the format for the chamber, he was channeling the Palladians, and it made sense. like the whole structure made sense the way, he laid it out. He said, this is how you have to do it. And then on top of that, what I did is, from my own channeling, I got the message that I had to put these angelic seals on the windows of the dome. And they were, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just said, okay, this is it. And then, and comes when I realized what was on them, they were the archangel seals. And in Aramaic, a combination of Aramaic and Hebrew and Greek, I believe. And they're sigils that are used in mysticism. But I didn't know that at the time. I just knew that I wanted these things on there. And they're like the Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, and Metatron. And they represent each of them. And it has the original name of God on them. So I didn't know what I was doing. And I said, I wanted these colors. And my business partner fought me on it and said, no, you're going to block the windows. And I said, no, they have to. It's not up for discussion. It has to be there. And we put it on there. And then I realized what it was. So that kind of adds to the power that's in the dome, which, the whole thing just fell into place. And we actually felt the energy coming in before we even built it. Just when we had the intention of building it and we hadn't even cleared out the space, the place where we wanted to build it, and we already felt it coming in, which was also interesting.
It sounds very interesting. Let's see. Um, so I just want to like go back to I want to ask you a question about the book.
Okay.
Um, so in the book, I don't want to give too much away of the book, but
Hmm.
um in the book, because when you talk about the spirits and everything like that, and like I just have a question about like do you actually see the spirits?
Yeah, like
That they look like people, or do
yeah,
they?
in the beginning, it was just when I first started seeing them, it was kind of like shadows.
Mhm.
Then I started seeing them clearer, and I noticed that after each near-death experience, it became clearer. So,
Oh.
like, and I see them like I don't know the difference whether it's a real person or it's a spirit, like it's not a physical person nowadays. Like I get confused and I'll talk to them. I'm like I'm talking to you thinking that they're actually there, but then they all of a sudden they disappear and I figure, okay, that wasn't a real person. When they just poof and disappear, or they walk into a wall, or walk into something, and I'm like, okay, that person wasn't really there. The only reason why I could tell that it's not a physical person, normally, not all the time, but normally there's something off about them, like their clothing is out of date.
Mhm.
The other day, not too long ago, I was in the back and I saw this woman standing there, like perfectly still. And she had like kind of a Native American dress on, and beige, you know, type of dress. Like it looked like it was from skin or something. And I literally, like, my mind didn't put two and two together right away. So she was just standing there like puff, so still. So I thought that it was somebody that was out in the back, in the yard, because there was two people that were out in the back. But so then I turned away, and when I turned back, she's gone. There's nobody there. And when the people that were in the back came in, they had totally different clothes. They didn't even look remotely like this woman. So I was like, okay, it doesn't hit me sometimes until later that what I'm actually seeing, because your brain tends to want to make it something familiar to you. It plays tricks on you. So I didn't realize. And again, I saw like somebody walking behind my business partner, and I didn't think anything of it because they look normal. They're just, and she was dressed normal, with a black and white shirt, and she was just walking fast. Um,
Like, do you
but
mean
then I
out
asked
out
her,
in public?
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
they're out in front of the business,
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that since we've been here, all our intuition has heightened and it's become clearer. And I think it's because of the energy, because my business partner mentioned to me, which is Graciela, by the way, she mentioned to me that when she first came, she never felt anything. She never heard anything. She
Hmm.
never saw anything.
Hmm.
She just knew things. Her intuition was from the crown chakra,
Hmm.
and she just knew stuff, like that was going to happen, happened. So then after a while, she started hearing things. And then she started feeling things, which she never did, like things that are interdimensional. And the last thing she started seeing things. So ever since she's been here, her intuition has completely evolved, which I'm sure it's because of the energy. And a lot of people that come here say the same thing. After a few days, they start having all these lucid dreams and having all these, one guy felt somebody kiss him in the back. Some other people, I swear to you, it's not a lie. And then somebody else said, oh, that they felt hands on them where they had the injury and it
Mm.
actually helped them. So a lot of like healing stuff. I have pictures of fairies that, have been around people. This lady, I took a picture and she had a ghost bear next
Oh,
to
I
her.
saw that one. Yeah.
Yeah, the ghost bear,
Yeah.
which I thought was really cool because like, oh, that's your animal totem. Um, and things like that, and like a whole bunch of stories. And then one guy said he had a vision of his past and his future, and somebody else saw this man walking with a blue cape. I mean, like all kinds of. Somebody else saw a bunch of Native American spirits, or they
So,
heard
so
somebody
pretty much it's like
chanting.
a free for all as like for spiritual
Yeah,
activity, and it sounds
because
like
the
there's a
energy's
bunch of
amped.
portals as well.
Yeah, because of the
Yeah.
portals, there's people that have seen entities going from one portal to another,
Hmm.
and because of the energy that's here, that's like conducive for that. So that's why I try to keep it clear and try to keep I sage all the time, and I try to, protect the space, because not only could you let in good things, but you could also let
Right.
in bad things. So you have to keep it clear. And before I let anyone step into the portals, I do my little shamanic ceremony to clear them before I let them come in. And lately, in one of the portals, especially, I've taken to doing alignments in the portal, and the energy gets so strong that some people pass out, or some people start like hysterically crying and they can't stop. Um, all kinds of weird stuff has happened in the portals, and people don't realize what they're doing and they're gone. Like the first time it happened, it was kind of scary because I was like, oh my God, this person's dead. They passed out and they weren't coming to. But it was like, do I have to slap her or something? But 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 no, they came to after a while. And then I learned my lesson. I do it sitting down now when I do the alignments in the portal, because I've had so many people pass out on me. So now I sit them down and I catch them. The past weekend, there was a young boy who had brain damage, actually. And he started like shaking when I was doing it. And then afterwards, he just passed out. But and so his grandmother was standing in front of him and she was freaked out. She's like, oh my God, I'm going to have to go get medicine for him. And she didn't know what to do. But then she saw that he calmed down, and he came back too. When he came back, he goes, is it over? What happened? He had no idea,
Wow.
but he was gone.
Wow. Wow.
So
Wow.
it's been interesting to watch, and I know it's all like, I know it has to do with the place.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. Definitely. Um, and then um the other thing I was gonna ask too, like when you do, because I know you were doing the house calls for the, I don't
mhm.
know, are you still doing that? The house, like for the, you know, going to like somebody's house and like clearing it?
The clear, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
For the house clearings, I still, well, I teach people how to protect their house when I do the workshops,
Hmm.
and depending on which workshop that comes up. And then do it remotely, and I also do it in person.
Hmm.
I've done it in like the largest house I did was, I think it was like in Coconut Grove or something. It was huge. It had like its own tennis court, a movie theater. I mean, everything. And that took me a while to do. But there was the previous owner who was stuck there.
Mm.
And usually people call me if they're having an issue with the house and they can't get something that's there that keeps bothering them.
Meaning
That,
a ghost,
yeah,
not an actual
exactly.
person. Yeah.
Yeah, usually it is a person that
Not a
shouldn't.
squatter.
Yeah, it's a squatter, a freeloader.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody who's not paying rent.
Right.
So, um, so I'll do that. I've done that with people in Michigan remotely,
Mhm.
and I've done that with people in Pennsylvania and different, parts of the country remotely. And then I've also done it in person. So I will do that on occasion. And more recently, I had a request from somebody who is like, they're like about 3 hours away from where I am. And I happen to be going, if I happen to be going in that direction, and the person that they want me to treat is bedridden, they can't get out of bed, um, and they're seriously ill, then I might make an exception. If it's convenient for me, I might make an exception and then go in person. So for this, um, I had a request from a mother to help her child. And being a mother myself, I can understand that. So you can understand that too.
Mhm.
And so I'm willing to go and help her out.
But as far as like your process when you, okay, when you, let's say you want to speak to a spirit,
Mhm.
do you actually like, is it telepathy or do you actually hear them?
Uh,
Or do you talk to their spiritual guides or like all of the above?
Kind of all of the above. So what I found is how if the spirit was a person, then however they were in life, like if they
Hmm.
were an auditory person or if they were a visual person, then they'll choose to communicate in that form. I'll receive it whichever form they send it. So, but telepathically, a lot of times I get the messages telepathically. Sometimes I've heard it externally, like I'll actually hear an external voice.
Hmm.
That's happened also. Um, Most of the time it's telepathy, and sometimes I'll like there was, I think I put it in the book, this part in the book where I was in the bathroom and I turn around and this man shows up and he's smiling at me. And he's someone's father that wanted to communicate with the daughter and wanted to use me as the, like, to enhance her abilities so that she can have a conversation with him. But, and he talked to me telepathically, but I saw him. I saw him standing there. He kind of like freaked me out because I just turned around and boom, this guy is there, looking at me. So it's like, what are you doing in my bathroom? No privacy. But most of the time, it all depends. Like there's other people that have shown up and they just show me things. Some guy's grandmother just showed me a dress and showed me a flower. And And then I got the feeling of what she wanted to communicate to her grandson. So it all depends on whoever is communicating with me, how they want to, because my senses are like all opened. So I hear, I feel, I see, and, so with all the senses, so they choose what they want, how they want to communicate with me. And then I'm like the interpreter. So I'll interpret the message. Like more recently, I was in Miami. The last time I was in Miami, this, I was I was doing a class with this organization that hired me to teach their employees, and I forgot what was what I was doing or what I was saying at the moment, but he had lent me a scotch tape because I wanted to teach them a yoga pose and how to focus to concentrate.
Hmm.
So so he put it on the shelf, the scotch tape on the shelf, and then as we were doing it, and I'm sitting next to him, the tape flies off of the shelf and back into his hands. So everybody around looked at him, looked at us, and said, "That was weird," but I didn't think anything of it. Okay, the tape flew over back into his hands. All right, little weird, but let's go on. So I went with the class, and then when I got to my friend's house where I was staying that night, um, what happens was that my some forks that I had on a shelf, and they had been there for the whole week, didn't move, and then all of a sudden they fly off of the shelf and across the room. So I'm like, okay, and then I get the image of the guy with the tape. So I knew it had to do with him.
Mm.
So she showed me that image of him, and then so I was like, okay, I said, I'm going to call later. I know it has to do with him. And I get the message. I get that she's trying to communicate. Someone felt that was a female. I felt her. And I felt she was a female. She didn't show herself physically. I felt she was a female. So I said, I'm going to call and give him the message and try, figure out what this is. So I can, she can communicate with him, or I could, because apparently he didn't have the ability to
I
do
got
it.
a minute. We have a minute left.
Okay, so anyway, to make a long story short, the alarm beeped a million times until I called, and I didn't touch the alarm, but it beeped. And then when I delivered the message, and it turned out to be his grandmother that wanted to talk to him, and I delivered the message, then the beeping stopped.
Do you? Well, thanks for watching that epic interview with my aunt. I really appreciate it. And I'm gonna leave the link down below with all her information. Uh, the link for her book, the link for her center, and also for her email address in case you guys have any questions. Um, and again, it's a really amazing book. It took her a week to write it. So I really appreciate you guys watching, and please subscribe. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. Take care. Bye.